everyone, Mr. Benjamin here, and today we'll be helping you with 2012 question 9 either. Okay, so let's read this question. A student carried out a series experiment to place W, X, Y, and Z in reactivity. The table shows tick a reaction and X no reaction. So this is a displacement reaction, but we need to know the correct way to look at it. So it's very important for you to do your working for displacement reaction, because then there will not be any information overload. So we can see that actually metal W can displace X from the solution, can displace Y from the solution, and can displace Z from the solution. So I know very clearly that W is the most reactive, so I'll write W at the top. Okay, and then let's look to the right. Metal X cannot displace Y. Metal X cannot displace Y, cannot displace Z. So X is the least reactive. So X is the one right at the bottom. So Y cannot displace W, rightfully so, W is right at the top. But it can displace X, rightfully so, because X is right at the bottom. So Y should be in the middle, that's true. But Y cannot displace Z. So that means that Y should be less reactive than Z. Let's confirm our answer. Z should be able to displace Y, so metal Z can displace Y. So that's correct. So I need to place the metals in order of reactivity, starting with the most reactive. So the most reactive is W. So W, Z, Y, X. So that's how you do this style question. Please write it down, you're working, or not, it'll be very confusing for you. Alright, let's learn the next one. So Z reacts with hydrochloric acid. What would you see? So you realize that there's 2 marks, and when things react with hydrochloric acid, the most obvious things that you will see is firstly the bubbles. Okay, and then next thing is that the metal should dissolve in the solution because you form the salt. So let's write out this is question 1, this is question B. What would we see? So what will we see when Z reacts with HCl? Okay, so the first one is things that we will see. So let's do a since and as and therefore. So since Z reacts with HCl to form salt and hydrogen gas, right? And as the salt is soluble in water, therefore we will see bubbles. The bubbles is hydrogen gas, and Z will dissolve in the acid because it is soluble. Alright, so that's the 2 things that we'll see. 2 marks, right? So we see the bubbles, and we see that Z will dissolve in the acid. Because why? It forms salt, and it forms H2, and the salt is soluble in water. Okay, so that's how we answer part B. Let's look at part C. So there is apparently a metal M, that's the 5th metal, that's W, X, Y, and X. W, Z, Y, and X. And you need to use hydrochloric acid with the metals. Right? So no displacement reaction, we are using hydrochloric acid. And we found out that M is the 4th most reactive. So that means it will be W, X, Y, M, and X. Okay? So we need to describe the experiment using hydrochloric acid. Right? We cannot do displacement, it's reaction of hydrochloric acid. And then we need to make some measurements. And then we need to show how M is the 4th. Okay? So these measurements, right? Please remember that in chemistry, we cannot count bubbles. Let's write that down. We cannot count bubbles. So we want to measure the gas, right? We want to measure the gas. So this is part C. Okay, this is part C. So we write it in steps. Okay, so step 1. React metal, let's choose any metal, metal X, with hydrochloric acid. Okay, so this is not enough because we're not being specific enough. We need to make sure that our variables are kept constant. So I'll say react 2 grams of metal X with 50 cm cube of 1 mole per dm cube HCl. So these details are very important because we need to show that we are being very specific and ensuring that the reaction is kept constant. So after I react 2 grams of metal X with 50 cm cube of 1 mole per dm cube of HCl, step 2, I need to collect and measure the gas. So attach a gas syringe to collect and measure the gas produced. Okay, so I'm measuring the volume of gas produced. Okay, so I'm using gas range and I'm making a measurement. So when do I take this measurement? Right, I want to see which one is the most reactive. A more reactive metal will react faster. A less reactive metal will react slower. So we have learned in the rate of reaction that we need to talk about volume of gas and we need to talk about time. So we need to standardize the time. Okay, so we'll standardize the time. So step 3, measure volume of gas collected in, let's say, 30 seconds or after 30 seconds. Okay, so that's important. We're standardizing 30 seconds, then measure the volume of gas. So if the reaction is faster, it will collect more. So after that, I need to repeat step 1 to 3 for the rest of the metals. Okay, repeat step 1 to 3. And then we need to say metal M. Step 5, most reactive metal will produce largest volume of gas in 30 seconds. Metal M produced fourth largest volume. So I have described the reaction over here. I've talked about what measurements to make and also what to use, right? I talked about 30 seconds fixing the variable, and I say how metal M is the fourth most reactive metal. Okay, so that's how you write a experimental plan. Please remember, okay, this is very important. All right, the last question, I believe. So I have W, X, Y, Z, and M. Remembering that M is the fourth most reactive. So I have, what is it? W, Z, Y, M, and X. So 2 of the metals are extracted from their ores by electrolysis. Metal M and one other metal is extracted using carbon. So we know that electrolysis is for the most reactive metals, carbon is for the next most reactive, and one of the metal is uncombined. So most likely X would be uncombined. Right? Most likely X will be uncombined. Most likely W and Z would be electrolysis, as most likely Y and M would be heated with carbon. So let's say, how do we explain this? W, X, Y, M, and X. So let me, this part D, W, Z, M, Y, no, where is it? W, Z, Y, M, X. W, Z, Y, M, X. So we need to say that since W and Z are most reactive, extracted using electrolysis, right? Then, and as X is least reactive, so it will be uncombined. Therefore, Y and M will be extracted by carbon. Okay, so that's how we make sure that we have the order. Okay, and then now we need to suggest a possible name for M. Okay, so M has to be somewhere over here. So we have, please stop calling me a cute zebra. I like her calling me sexy quotes. So carbon is over here. So M should be somewhere around here. Okay, and we also need to assume that M can react with acid. So I wouldn't put anything around here. So I'll choose something here. But you see, Y is also by carbon. So Z has to be Y, so it cannot be zinc. So I will choose either iron or lead. Okay, so either iron or lead. I repeat, Y can't be zinc. It's because Y has to be extracted by carbon too, so we cannot be zinc. So it's either iron or lead. All right, so I hope that has helped you with this question. This question is 2012, question 9 either. And I hope that helps you with answering this question properly. All right, all the best. Bye.